The intellectual property rights industry in the US alone is worth a jaw-dropping $63 billion. But along comes a blockchain project like Story Protocol, seemingly out of nowhere to disrupt this legacy behemoth. Can they really do this? We're about to dive into how Story Protocol aims to revolutionize the way creators protect, share, and profit from their work. Story Protocol, or Story Foundation, depending on who you ask, is on a mission to overhaul intellectual property rights, a space dominated by old school rules and endless red tape. Backed by a really healthy $140 million from investors like A16Z and Polychain Capital, they're off to a strong start. But here's the billion-dollar question. Are they solving the right problems? And if so, how do they actually plan to execute this vision? Well, stick around because I'll answer those questions, break down their approach, and share my personal take on where Story Protocol might be headed. Plus, I'll let you know whether their eventual token could be worth your time. Hey, I'm Mike, product manager for over a decade, with experience at fast-growing startups, Web3 companies, and yes, even some boring corporate gigs too. Here I've done the research and taken the time to break down some complex ideas and make them simple so you can decide whether or not they're worth your time and money. So let's dive in. Let's start with this. Intellectual property rights are a mess. Laws that govern copyright and IP were designed for a pre-digital world, and they're struggling to keep up. For example, in the US, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA, introduced updates to protect digital content. But in today's decentralized, global, and often anonymous ecosystem, these laws really feel like a sinking ship being patched with duct tape. Think about AI-generated art. Platforms like Midjourney can create stunning images from simple text prompts, but behind the scenes, they're trained on datasets filled with copyrighted works, most of which were never licensed. So shouldn't those original artists get some form of compensation or credit in some way? If you don't feel the same way, maybe this project isn't for you. This isn't just about art either. Music, video, written content, all of it is entering very murky territory where copyright law doesn't really fully apply when it comes to AI. So is this a real problem? Absolutely. And Story Protocol's mission to solve it feels like a much needed step forward. But this brings me to my next question. Now, let's talk solutions. Story Protocol's pitch is very ambitious. Number one, creators upload their work, which is then tracked on the blockchain. If someone remixes, forks, or uses it in some way, rules set by the creator determine compensation. Payments happen programmatically, no middlemen, no lawyers, just code. This is IP rights for the Web3 era where transparency and automation reign supreme. But really, what's available today? Let's break it down. They're running a test network built on Cosmos SDK, which is a competitor to Ethereum, an interesting choice. Naturally, they offer developer libraries and documents to integrate the protocol. This allows for building on chain, setting rules, and a lot more. There's a faucet to experiment with test tokens, which is actually needed for the protocol. There's ability to stake your tokens with some real infrastructure companies like Blockdaemon on board. And this is probably just there somewhat as a placeholder since it's still testnet. I'm also seeing hundreds of NFT collections. Impressive, yes, but on closer inspection, it feels pretty basic. Right now, if you jump into the site and explore, it resembles a version of OpenSea, a marketplace for NFTs, without the ability to actually buy or use NFT. There's potential, but the big picture vision isn't fully realized yet, and I'm starting to see why. It's because of their customers. And this is where it gets exciting. Story Protocol already has some intriguing partners who I'm seeing as their real customer here, actually. Everything from AI-powered licensing platforms to media distributors and webcomic creators. Even a Web3 music-based app is on board. I'm counting over 24 companies that are partnered up. I don't mean just a strategic partner here, folks that are actually developing on chain. And now I'm seeing it. Story is not at all trying to compete with licensing platforms that are built around existing IP laws. Instead, they're building this from the ground up to compete directly with licensing platforms like the US Patent and Trademark Office and all the hungry lawyers that bite into these laws. Story wants to be the invisible infrastructure like Stripe, and if you look at Story's partners, they're all apps built on top to tackle separate parts of the entertainment industry. Images, audio, video, usage rights, it's all making sense. But they're first targeting engineers who then build and have to get their own artists and creators to use their platform or app. Let's quickly talk about the people driving this project. SY, the CEO, a seasoned entrepreneur who sold his last company and is now diving into Web3. He's got a track record of execution and knows how to build from scratch. Jason Zhao, young, sharp, and passionate about solving complex problems. His background as a former Googler gives him a lot of credibility. As for the rest of the team, Story Protocol is actively hiring, and that's a great sign. If they had a ton of profiles with looking for work activated on their profile, I'd be very concerned. So what do I think about Story Protocol? Well, here's what I love. They're using blockchain for one of its most logical applications, tracking ownership, usage, and monetization of creative work. The technology is there and purpose-built just for this problem. Their team is strong and well-rounded. The CEO, SY, he's a successful entrepreneur that exudes a bit of arrogance, which is something you typically want in a CEO. Jason has the technical chops needed and deep understanding of how to deliver. There's lots of partners on board. They're solving a massive problem with an ecosystem first approach. But here's a challenge. Blockchain adoption is still confusing for most people, and I hope we're not moving towards a more technical solution, please, because Story Protocol's long-term success will depend on 3 things. Making their tool easy and intuitive for creators and businesses, which means you need to abstract away all of these complexities. They also have to scale their ecosystem with more partners and killer apps that showcase why that person wants to use their protocol. This is easier said than done. You need a killer app, like, for example, some meme coins or a mascot that everybody just wants to use. Maybe some true gaming with items that can be created and tracked and monetized through their platform and protocol. This all takes a lot of time. And the last is that the government needs some form of acceptance of this, or at least them looking the other way. Problems may arise here, like putting a song on chain and someone in the Web 2 era comes and claims it as theirs. Not really sure how this is going to all be handled. In the end, would I recommend keeping an eye on Story? Absolutely. If they execute their vision, this could be a game changer for creators. Well, that was a quickie video and I hope you enjoyed it. I would love it if you liked the video and subscribe right now, so please do that. Let me know in the comments what you think and if I should go deep into this or what the next topic should be. I love talking about startups and it doesn't even have to be in the Web3 space. See ya.